Welcome to Riverbend Talon on WBGZ. Brought to you by the Halpin Music Company.
Another Thursday night in the Riverbend. That means another sea shanty sing-along underway down at Morrison's Irish Pub. And another Riverbend Talent on the air here, brought to you by the Halpin Music Company and by Mr. Matt Van Voorhis of Macias Insurance, as we are about to enter our 10th year. We started in May, so 2026 will be 10 years in May for Riverbend Talent. We couldn't have done it without those sponsors. The American Jackals are playing tonight from 7 to 9 at Johnson's Corner. We got BC Homegrown already underway down at Fast Eddie's in Alton until 10 o'clock. The Trophy Mules will start at 7 tonight and go till 10 at the Stagger Inn again in Edwardsville. Drew Lance, 6 to 9 at Peel Woodfire Pizza in Edwardsville. Ryan Holting going until 9 o'clock at the Cabin at Judy Creek in Glen Carbon. The instant replay is already underway at the Prairie Inn in Dorsey, and maybe you can watch the instant replay of their show sometime. I don't know, but they're going until 8:30 tonight, so you can still catch them. Jeremy Drake underway down at the Press House at the Old Herald Brewery in Collinsville. And tonight we're going to be talking about 37 Gnarly Years Around the Sun, a show coming up January 23rd at the Conservatory. And our guest tonight is Gordon Loveboat.
Hello.
Yeah, snuggle up to that microphone.
Yeah, hello.
See, that's what
Howdy.
it's supposed to sound like. You hear that? You hear that?
Yeah, maybe just move this a little
Go
closer.
ahead. Just,
Yeah,
if you want to caress it slightly, and there you go.
That's
now
it.
you're hearing it.
Yeah.
Now you're hearing it. And you should know about hearing things because you have your own little studio yourself, right? And by the way, Gordon Loveboat, latest project, Dracula Johnson. So let's tie all that together before we get into it. Do people call you Dracula?
Only at shows, really. Well, I've kind of got three names, and I use it as a basic framework that whoever is addressing me at any given point, it allows me to know how well they actually know me.
Okay.
By which name they choose to use.
I have done the exact same thing, so I know exactly what you're talking about. But you guys are playing Dracula Johnson for this 37 gnarly years around the sun. And anybody who knows, when you say gnarly in this area,
That's Biff Knarly.
That's Biff Knarly.
Yep.
I can't believe he's 37.
I know. He's turning old. Well, I got him for so much longer, he's turning into a mummy.
Now, you guys, we talked a little bit before he came on, all came out of that, what we call the house scene when we were first getting underway. It's been a long time now.
Yeah, getting there.
And you were in Walloper.
Yes. So Biff Knarly, which I have been informed is actually playing again for the first time in quite a while
In that song.
at this show. I'm thank goodness I plan on going on first so that because Biff Knarly also plays in my live band,
Right.
and I want him fresh, and
Okay.
he should go into Biff Knarly sweaty, I think.
There you go. There you go. And, there's been some legendary birthday parties for Biff Knarly over the years.
Yes, there
right?
sure have.
Yeah, so this is just going to be another one of those.
And everyone just keeps getting older.
You're right.
And I stay young. So.
Right. It gets harder to bang your head once the arthritis starts setting in.
Hey, well, yeah, I'm already walking with a cane over here.
I see that.
It's hard for me to get around anywhere.
What happened? You get injured or something?
So I was born with my feet on upside down, and so I've had to have a lot of surgeries. I got my ankle taken out a couple years ago, and so I walk on like a hockey stick as far as my foot.
Now, wait. Upside down feet, literally, or is that how you're describing it?
I think I have a picture in my wallet.
Oh, okay. So, like,
You gonna see?
yeah, I do actually.
let me-
You should show it to the camera.
Yeah, let's see here. Unless I.
So this is a birth defect
Oh yeah.
that you dealt with.
It was a bad case of bilateral clubbed feet.
Oh,
So
okay.
My feet were like that,
Wow.
essentially.
Okay, so I kind of get what you're saying.
You know what? I'm missing my photo. What a time.
All right, so this is all confirmed live at this point.
Yeah. I
We're
made
making all
of that.
this up.
Yeah, but
And you are Illuminati, right? Well,
we don't talk about that.
Okay. Just wanted to check in. No, well, we were talking about Walloper. Was that your first band? Like
So funny enough, I've been playing in bands dating back to 2005 in this part of the state. My first band was called The Butts.
I remember the Butts, actually.
Which they may have played a Farmageddon. I'm not sure, but they're actually still playing. We all moved down to Texas like in 2009 or something. I moved back, but that band is still going to this day, too.
Is that Butts with a Z?
S.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just checking.
Yep.
Just checking. Yeah, you brought up Armageddon.
Yep.
Which we've connected again.
Yes.
Because, you played many Farmageddons up in Brighton at the Cottonmouth home right there, the farm.
Yeah.
And, so it's been a while since I've seen you.
Well, you and I kind of before the show started, we were talking about the music community and kind of how it's a pretty small, tight-knit group. And I feel like it's almost also, not to use a word, but it's also sort of incestuous that you can run into each other for years and years and years before actually talking or meeting. For example, our bands have played together before under a different name than what I'm doing now, and here we are years later on a show together.
For sure.
I'm on your show.
And Joe Wilson has to be brought up because you actually played with him for a while.
Well, he played in Skylar and the ShamWows, which
Right.
members of that band played in my band. I wonder if, I've jammed with Joe. I can't quite remember if he ever played drums with me at a gig or not, but I love Joe.
Yeah.
I miss that guy.
Yeah, for
Joe,
sure.
call me.
And Wendy's going to be listening, so you got to give a
Wendy,
shout.
get Joe to call me.
For sure. And Farmageddon. Those are some awesome parties. But I think when you say incestuous and talking about musicians, it's original music that we're talking about.
Yes, definitely.
Because, there's lots of places to play around here. If you want to do an acoustic act, there's wineries and all kinds of places that you can do that. And then there's cover bands that play in bars, but the original scene, the guys that are doing that, there's an extra bond between those type of people because we all know how hard it is to create something original and get people to come check it out.
And typically we're all each other's biggest fans.
Exactly.
Also.
Exactly.
But speaking of which, to what you're saying, Dracula Johnson would love to play at a winery sometime. So
Okay.
Wineries, get a hold of me.
I just heard an acoustic tune that you did as a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Carlinville area, I want to say.
Was it the middle of nowhere?
It was.
Yep. Those are the middle of nowhere crew are some folks I love dearly named Brandon and Allie. And that was my second video I've done with them. I like to play in full band setups and whatnot. They kind of specialize in videoing sort of stripped down versions of acts or more folk acoustic acts. And just because I get them to do videos with me because they like me, not because they think I'm good.
Okay. That sounds like how
I have to pressure them into it.
What I'm thinking of, though, is, that opens up where you can play a little bit more just doing acoustic songwriter type music, right? So you could play like the Stagger Inn in Edwardsville or something like that. They'd love that kind of stuff there.
Funny enough, I get requested to do that more often than you'd think, but I absolutely hate playing alone. Because if it's bad, it's all my fault.
Yeah,
so I need other people to blame.
That's exactly what Pigpen says. He could do it. He's not here tonight, by the way, but he's usually the co-host, and he's like, I got to have people cover up my mistakes.
Well, Pigpen, we miss you.
Yeah, we do. Well, sort of. Anyhow, but I totally get where you're coming from there. So there's a bond between the original musicians from this area, and, that's what we did. We started out all original until we met this biker gang that was like, look, we need you to play like 12 hours, and like, we'll pay you. Yeah. And we're like, wow, money?
Yeah.
Which never happens.
Yeah. Original bands, it's a little more difficult. You really got to sell whoever's paying you.
So we had 12 songs that we repeated all night long. But they liked it because it was heavy and that's what they wanted to hear, right?
Yep.
So, but after a while, we're like, that's kind of weird.
Yep.
And so we started taking requests and learning whatever songs they wanted to hear. But And so I've been able to experience both sides of it because of that. But really, man, switching over was like, I don't really want to do covers, which is what I get out of a lot of original musicians.
Well, and I think also when you're younger too and trying to hook people into your music, when I was playing in, because the Butts was kind of more a straight up punk rock band and it was goofy or whatever, but when you're playing in that kind of band at that age, it was the norm at the time to throw in a Misfits cover,
right,
or some Rancid or something that might get the kids your age more involved with what you're doing.
And you're still picking songs that aren't commercial songs.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's not like we're playing, Margaritaville or anything.
Yeah. And that's exactly what we did. We went straight to Slayer.
Yeah.
We're like, we're doing Slayer. It's obvious. And then, here's a crazy thing. And this may happen to you now. People show up at a cover gig and they hear you play Slayer and they're dancing like it's a disco to Slayer, and you're standing there going, "This is weird."
I mean, I'll take whatever they want to dance to.
Exactly. Yeah, it's cool, but it was, to see them shaking their butts to Slayer instead of banging their head. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Times are changing.
Yeah, but hey, got to play Slayer.
I encourage line dancing at our shows.
Line dancing would be cool.
Unified, synchronized. That's what I like.
Okay. So I was checking out your material, Dracula Johnson, and I've got all the records written down here. It seems like it's been about 8 months since you released something, at least on your Topic YouTube.
Yes.
Right.
Well, yeah. So I think I put out an EP early last year, and I kind of focused the whole year on just gigging as much as I possibly could. And writing. I actually have something prepared that I'm going to put out very shortly. There will be announcements for it. I'm not quite ready to say what they are yet, but there is new music coming soon.
I'll be prying into that a little harder. But so Versus Right Now, is that the last one?
Yes, that's the last EP.
And that was kind of a remix, right? That was some older songs that you did a little more electronically, and tell us about that.
So I have always, to the point of kind of playing as multiple acts, this project had started out as kind of a solo project, and I had just taken the backing rhythm section of the album, and I was, for the first maybe year of gigging as Dracula Johnson, I was just playing to a backing track with my guitar just as a singular musician. I eventually, after having a bunch of different live setups and trying to organize a band that could gig as much as I was available, which nobody is that available, so I came up with an idea of, well, what if at some shows, I said yes to all my bookings, but at some shows, I'd show up and do acoustic. At some shows, I'll have a full band. And at some shows, I'll come as an electronic dance project.
Okay.
And you never really know what you're going to get. I have aspirations to do a country version of some of my songs, too. But I always, eyes are bigger than my stomach.
Well, we got fiddle players and banjo players in town, so,
Get at me. Fiddle and banjo players, get at me.
Yeah, so that was about 8 months ago, it said on the YouTube Topic channel, which is, for people that don't know, when it says Topic next to it, that's your digital distributor puts those out, and that's where they go on YouTube, is to, it'd be Dracula Johnson Topic.
Yep.
Right? Now, do you have your own YouTube as well?
So a fun idiosyncrasy of mine and my music stuff is I am absolutely terrible at social media.
Yeah.
And I've made attempts to get other people to run my social media for me. It's that bad. But I usually like to consider myself sort of like a mythical creature or whatever. You can come, if you want to come to a show, you got to come see it to see it. There's not a lot of peeks behind the curtain online.
I'm picking up on that vibe because you just told us you're like sometimes I'm acoustic, sometimes I'm gonna have some guys playing with me, but you're not gonna know until you show up.
Yes.
That's a good plan. Because if you tell everybody what you're going to do, they might go, "Yeah, I'm not going to that show. I'll wait till the next show."
Well, and you know what, too? There have been times where there has been huge disappointment when I played one way or the other, and people will let you know.
Yeah, they will.
I like that though. I like to work a hostile crowd.
You like the controversy, then. That comes from that.
I can't get away from
punk rock roots right there, right?
Anyone, listen to the Butts sometime, and you'll see how we got pretty controversial.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's fine.
I'm definitely going to check it out for sure, and I think I have, to be honest with you. I think I want to say before it was Big Muddy, maybe.
Yeah, we played in the area a lot. Back in the day.
Yeah.
We got around. I think maybe the only act of mine that has gigged more in the same time frame is maybe my current one, because once again, I'm not beholden to however many other people. I just kind of go do with whatever I have.
Which, if you're a musician, that just makes it easier to jam more.
Well, and the less people that come, the more money I make.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. That's why, we were talking a little bit about this. I don't remember if it was on or off air, but there's lots of things you could do as a musician in this area. And I know guys who do play in the winery with their acoustics and do covers just to get a little money to support their original act that they'll do at Red Flag or some weird place every once in a while.
I wish I was better at covers so I could do that.
Yeah.
That's an avenue that's not available to me.
Well, it's 3 chords and the truth. I mean, you got that down, right? So, yeah, we're talking to Gordon Loveboat, Dracula Johnson, and Bill, his new name.
Yeah.
Wait for that. Coming soon. No, I made that up. We do that fake news every once in a while.
Well, you know what? But I've got so many names. I think I online before have demanded people refer to me as Billy. So,
wow.
I've just got that many names.
Totally got lucky there. But why? Why are we talking? We're talking about January 23rd, 37 gnarly years around the sun at the Conservatory. There's going to be some other acts there besides Dracula Johnson. We got Toy Husband.
They're great.
86 Red.
They're also great.
I like those guys a lot. And then the return of Biff Knarly. And I was thinking, I may be wrong about this, but the last time I seen Biff Knarly perform, it was right after he dropped the Reptilians. He was just going with Biff Knarly, and it was Rock the Hops at Raging Cajun.
Would that be like us anymore?
Yeah, would that be like one of his last shows?
Yeah,
because it's been a while.
No, yeah, I think outside of me, well, I think because Mike puts so much into his music too, and he and I almost have completely different working styles where he wants things to be absolutely perfect, and he'll put so much time into all of his stuff, and I'm like, I do 2 takes. I'm like, that's more than enough.
Yeah.
And so I think he kind of just needed a breather from kind of that self-imposed pressure. And since my songs are all dumb and simple, he came and played with me and just helped me out with my project until he kind of was ready to get his juice back.
Yeah, and so is that why this birthday party's happening? Because Biff Knarly's got his band back together and he wanted to do a show, or did that happen after you set up this?
So it happens every year. It's almost sort of its own annual event, up there. And so I think there were always plans to do a show, because I'm not sure that Biff Knarly played at his last birthday show, but we still had it.
And see, that's what I was kind of thinking.
And so I think the show is always going to happen, and we are just blessed to be in the time that they are going to play again, too.
Now, did he play with you his last birthday?
I do believe so.
Yeah, I think so, too.
Yep.
That's what I'm kind of remembering.
Yep.
As Dracula Johnson.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Well, and when I told you there are many of us before, he is one. He's an unofficial Loveboat.
Okay. Yeah, I got you. I got you. Yeah, and like I said, it goes back to Farmageddon and, that house scene, which was amazing.
Yeah.
And a lot of those guys have come out of there and done some cool stuff, like, opening the Conservatory, Lighthouse Sounds. I mean, a lot of that comes from that house scene.
And even just that time period, it's crazy that there were multiple house venues that were having as successful of shows as they were.
Yeah, exactly.
That usually in any town, maybe you'll have a house show that has punk rock bands, or a place where people have parties, but it's not so typical to have that many successful house venues.
Well, you guys advertised in the paper. Metal Gear. I just thought of one of them.
Yeah, there is Metal Gear, and I mean, like I was telling you before, any booking or sort of production stuff I've ever done, I always take a lot of pride in the process of making flyers and inviting people out. I don't want it to seem just like an advertisement that people have to buy into. It's more like an invitation,
right?
Like a golden ticket.
Totally. Yeah. So that's pretty cool, man. So yeah, we were talking about Versus Right Now, which was your last release, and then you had a release called Not Right. That was about 2 years ago.
Yes. Time flies.
It does.
And that was, that's my full-length album.
It's like 9 songs, I want to say.
Yep. And some of them are a little long, but it's a 9-song album. I recorded it with some friends down in Carbondale named Lauren Lashansky and Charlie Fehrenbacher. They were my collaborators for that album. And the rest of it was me. So the funny thing about that album too, is that if you listen to enough of my music, you'll detect that there is a level of levity in it, and that it is mostly foul-mouthed. I was going through a whole lot, and so I just kind of wrote that entire album, and I wrote it to be just a totally sincere piece of music that didn't have the jokes in it, that were a little more earnest in what I was trying to say. And I think it's kind of fitting that that's the only full-length album I have of this project right now, because all the other EPs are more sporadic, and I feel like more sort of my general outlook when I'm not in a huge depressive throw. But that's I got the most hyper-focused when I was feeling my worst.
Well, there you go. And it's healing.
Yeah,
I mean?
Definitely.
Because you get it all out of your system.
And
right?
it was a way to sort of, in a, as someone who struggles with mental health and liking to have more fun than is healthy, it was a way to kind of revert all that energy into something productive.
Yep.
And once that was done, because that was pretty early on in this project's sort of history, that it also allowed me to have a catalog of songs that made it easier to go and book and go and do other things. And funny enough, I've played multiple weddings, and my only full-length album is kind of a split-up album. So
wow.
I think I get a little bit of joy out of that.
All right.
Yeah.
Once again, a little bit controversial.
Yeah. Just watch out. You could end up like this, is what I say.
There you go. Yeah, so about a year before that, though, you did Blurry, right?
Yes. Yep.
And that's another different thing.
Yeah. Blurry came out of a period of my life that was very blurry for me, perception-wise, whatnot.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that led you into the Not Right, right? So
yeah.
Because that's pretty close together, those two.
Yeah, those two. So there kind of been two big shifts, because I was living down in Carbondale, where I recorded the first EP and the full-length album. And then once I moved back to the Riverbend area, I recorded the Unbecoming EP, which was the first EP that Biff Knarly was featured, and we recorded that one in his home studio. And after that, we released a single called Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Right.
And
I've heard of her. I think she's in some kind of files.
Yeah. Well, she's in my file.
She's in your file.
I fixed her, dude.
Did you fix her?
Yeah, I think that song is why she's on the trajectory she is now.
Oh, wow. I never knew.
I know. I don't think she knows.
Well, she didn't write.
I mean,
She stopped writing.
so funny enough, I comment on her stuff all the time, trying to get her to pay attention to me. So
Right.
Marjorie, if you're listening, hot dog date, you, me, I'll
she
pay.
might be listening. I heard she's a big Cottonmouth fan, but I don't know.
That doesn't surprise me.
All right, now we're getting off base slightly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Serious.
Well, you know what? I always go over some gigs that are going on around the Riverbend, so I want to tap into some of that right now, especially this one right here, which is going to lead me to a question. So tomorrow night, Friday night, Road to Point Fest is happening, right? Session 3 with Echoes of a Ghost, Rum Luck, A Portrait of Life, Cast a Shadow, Omissions, and Birds of Squalor.
Yeah, Squalor Boys.
And I talked to Chris Vandehay earlier today, and I asked him, I said, I got Dracula Johnson on. What question should I ask him? And he said he probably won't reveal it. But how did he come up with the name Dracula Johnson?
Okay, so no, I can do that one.
Okay.
I thought you were going to ask me what my real name was, and I was going to say, okay, I can't. But so Dracula Johnson, funny enough, kind of has a it's sort of an onion of a band name. There's the reasons why I named it that way. Which being, like I said, I started the project when I was kind of living alone, and I was going through a really hard time, and I was thinking about how a lot of people will sort of call each other or label each other like energy vampires, or people who are just like a total suck on your life force or whatever. And so it was kind of a joke, a self-deprecating joke to myself to be like, well, it's like I'm the Dracula of energy vampires, because you get my band in a room, the right room, we can drain the energy out of that room real quick. Like,
yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. I've always referred to it as psychic vampire.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. It's like a mental drain. And we've all experienced it. You get around somebody and all of a sudden you're agitated and you can't figure out why.
Yeah.
I don't even know this person. Why am I feeling odd?
And so, yeah, the character of Dracula Johnson is also sort of supposed to embody that. And as annoying as I am through the rest of my life, I'm extra annoying on stage because I'm playing that character.
Oh, so this is like the conformed Dracula Johnson.
Yeah.
I do have my dump set, so if you start cursing or, having some kind of a Tourette's thing or whatever.
You know what? That actually makes me feel way better, because I have had to watch my language because I talk like a sailor.
Okay.
So,
I was a sailor, so, But you're doing a great job. We're halfway through the program.
Oh, shoot. Can we go longer?
No, I don't think so. There's a basketball game we got to play.
Let's call who we need to call.
Well, it's
I'll
like
talk to him.
Illinois University, so, I mean.
We'll get him to wait 10 more minutes.
10 more minutes. I might wear you out in this last half hour. I don't know if you want to go 10 more minutes.
Okay, let's see.
We are talking about January 23rd, 37 gnarly years around the sun. I want to keep saying that so if Biff watches this, I can remind him that he's 1 year older than you.
I'm going to text him right now.
Anyways, that's going to be at the Conservatory with Toy Husband, Dracula Johnson, 86 Red, and Biff Knarly's back for his birthday bash coming up on January 23rd. And while you're texting him, I'm going to name off a few more shows. Up All Night at Fast Eddie's on Friday, City Heat out to VFW and Alton. Hideous Gentlemen are going to be playing at Baker's and Hale.
Those are good boys.
Yes.
Those are good boys, too.
right next to the Conservatory, the Alton Music Exchange.
Nice.
Jared part of that, and he's putting Hideous Gentlemen together for a show out at Baker's and Hale and Godfrey. Not a normal place you would see Hideous Gentlemen, so I'm kind of digging on that.
I like shows like that.
Yeah. Scruffy-looking Nerf Herder is going to be playing out at Locke's Brick House from 7 to 10, and everyone loves his name.
Well, so I know there's an old punk band called Nerf Herder,
Okay.
and it's and scruffy-looking Nerf Herder is the extension of that quote.
Okay.
So I like that.
Yeah. We've never had anyone disappointed with that name. So we also have White Collar Recession playing on Friday night at Backstage Bar and Patio in Edwardsville, and Rewind going to be around the corner at Big Daddy's. Let me see what else is in here. We got all kinds of stuff. Oh yeah, here's an interesting a band. They call themselves Waffle House Fight Club.
I like that.
Yeah.
It makes me curious what their music sounds like.
Okay, so they're a cover band, but the catch is any song, any genre you request, they learn it on the spot.
Nice.
Yeah. So you can check that out at a place called Jacob Myers in Granite City, which used to do some original music. I don't know if they still do, but 7 to 10 there for Waffle House Fight Club.
I was hoping that they would change all their covers into waffle-themed lyrics.
Well, that'd be even cooler.
Like, have you heard Mac Sabbath?
I have heard Mac Sabbath.
Mac Sabbath. What a great idea.
Yes.
What a great idea that
For
is.
sure. And for those who don't get it, Mac is from McDonald's. And it's all the characters that used to be in the commercials
they
they're
play-
dressed up as, but they play like
Black Sabbath
songs with
And they-
McDonald's
And they
lyrics.
turn them all into McDonald's lyrics, yeah.
That's my kind of stuff right there.
Well, and let me put it on the record.
Okay.
If Birds of Squalor doesn't win the road to Point Fest, then that organization needs to get it together.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's in Sauget tomorrow night.
Pops.
A place called Pops.
Pops.
Yep. And now by Pops, there's like not only a strip club, but a dispensary.
Man, you never need to leave that
You
place.
do not. And they've actually marketed that place that way. So yeah, hopefully those guys do well. And even if they don't, they're going to put on an amazing show.
Yeah, they always do. And I always really like playing with those boys. They're a lot of fun.
So that's what's going on Friday night. And we're talking to Gordon Loveboat, formerly of Walloper. I just want to say that name a few more times.
It's really good. I feel like it's the best band name I ever came up with. I should have just kept using that.
There was a band back in the day that we used to play with called Whoppers Taste Good.
I love Whoppers. You know, I had one of my nieces eat a Whopper and say how bad it tastes. I'm like, man, I love these things.
To me, it's the best fast food hamburger there is. That's just my opinion.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's because it contains the normal ingredients that you would make at your house. You know, lettuce, tomato, pickles. You know, it's like, that's a hamburger. And flame broiled over frying, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is not an endorsement, by the way.
Just like them.
Right, yeah. But they used to throw food at the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Whoppers taste good. That was their big thing.
Man,
So you could actually get something to eat at their shows.
I'm always so tempted, but after playing for as long as I have, I try to be conscientious of the sort of like mess I leave behind. There were times when I was younger, you know, where we'd have like things like fake blood or confetti, and then afterwards it's a whole issue. And so anymore, I try to be conscientious of what kind of mess I leave. So instead of having messy things, most Dracula Johnson shows, I just bring a bunch of stage props.
Okay.
They're mostly just a bunch of fake plants.
Oh.
Lights.
For a minute, I was picturing you as like the Carrot Top of rock.
I would take that. I will take that. The Carrot Top of punk rock. That's
So would you call your music punk rock, though? It's not really.
well, well, what would you call it?
Well, it's kind of all over the place.
Well,
It's got that, you know, pop punk thing going a lot. But a lot of bands have that going, and then they kind of do other things. This last release,
we don't even know what that is.
it's got the electronic thing going. So I mean,
I'm a huge fan of like early 2000s Euro pop music, like Venga Boys and the London Boys, all the boys.
Backstreet Boys.
Backstreet Boys. But no, so because I'm not a person who gets bogged down in super hyper specific genres, you know, like it's fun, but that's not my place to really. It comes out however I write it,
right.
And I consider it more of the philosophy of the way I record and produce the music and my attitude about distributing it to people. Is more underground. I'm more concerned with making art than it being a business
right.
for me. And I also, if you listen to any of my lyrics, a lot of them, as poppy as any of the songs may get, it kind of restricts me from ever seeing any kind of mainstream success because I get into some bizarre topics.
Right.
I myself call it just punk rock.
Okay.
I wouldn't know what else to call it for anyone.
Well, as we mentioned earlier, 3 chords and the truth. I mean, that's what it boils down to, all the way back to the Sex Pistols. So, you know, a lot of bluegrass bands, even the same way. I mean, you would find 3 chords and the truth in bluegrass, and you might be surprised some of the lyrics you hear out of a bluegrass band. So.
And I think that's where a lot of people kind of draw the line. It's like the moment that I learned a barred chord is when it stopped being punk rock.
Exactly.
I guess, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I've told you about how I feel about my skills as an instrumentalist.
Right,
so,
you have mentioned that. And you also mentioned, and this might have been off air, that you're really not interested in doing the production side of things.
Oh, no. I do not. The quicker and easier I can get done with recording, the better. If I could get away with just being a live musician, I would. I hate the tediousness of recording. I hate listening to myself. A big reason why I work the way I do with friends in home studios now is because typically I like to get together with people who it's fun to be around, who I enjoy. Since the work is tedious, it's almost like working any other desk job at a computer. You got to sit there and do a bunch of tedious tasks. But if you're with someone who makes doing those tedious tasks easier, it becomes fun rather than shelling out hourly rates in a studio with an engineer who hates you for not getting your 4th take right.
Now, before you record a song, since you hate it so much, before you record a song, do you actually have it done and then try to record it, or do you kind of build it as you go?
So as far as my part goes, I write the entire song, pretty much my parts as a guitarist and the lyrics, and I have that done and ready to go. I then take that and we lay those tracks down, and then my band of instrumentalists who I use, which includes like Lauren and Charlie and Drew Goebel and Josh Day, and currently my drummer is Matt Hilton, and I have backup vocalists like Lauren and Lynn do things. I bring my completed song, and then we just kind of build everything off of that, and I give everyone kind of their own freedom to try out different things, to just try to make the final song as good as possible.
All right, so it's a little bit of both. You got your 3 chords and the truth.
Yep.
And then they're allowed to do whatever they want to. Well, to a point.
Yeah.
You might step in and be like, dude, that solo is like 22 minutes long. We can't be doing that.
Funny story on our song Off and Wrong. If you listen closely enough throughout those mixes, there's a lot of metal screams that Biff does or whatever. And when we first laid those on, they were so loud it turned the song into a metal song. Our longest debate of that entire recording session was the level of his metal screams within that particular song. So that was a fun one.
That sounds like a fun one.
They are still in there, though. You can hear them. If you listen to it with headphones, they're there.
Okay. I will be listening to it with headphones, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, Often Wrong is probably, as of right now, outside of the new material I've been working on, Often Wrong is probably my favorite Dracula Johnson song.
Okay.
I'm proud of that one.
Okay.
I think it's good.
I was curious about that as I was preparing for this interview. I wonder which one's his favorite.
Yeah. Often Wrong, and because... so a big part of my songwriting philosophy is I don't challenge myself. I stay in the pocket of my skill more often than not because it allows me to just more freely express myself rather than trying to make something really instrumentally complex. But I got over myself for half a second and wrote that song specifically to challenge myself. And I think it's pretty, and it's every new band member who has to learn it, we usually try to get that one done first, because if you can play that one, the rest of them are super easy.
Okay,
so.
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, for sure. So you were talking about new stuff coming out. What can you tell you? Is there anything you can reveal? This secretive person that you are, this
So
possibly Illuminati goat.
Yeah,
something.
I like that. The Illuminati goat. I like that.
I killed the Illuminati. I don't know if you know that, but
I mean,
because they were the secret society everyone knew. Well, and I'm like, you're not secret.
And the Illuminati and New World Order were heavy themes in the early Biff Knarly days of their recordings and whatnot. Yeah, my secret society is too secret to talk about. But
right. So, can you tell us anything about this new release? I'm prying now.
So, I've been bouncing around ideas. My last EP I put out was kind of that pop reimagining of older material. I had messed around with, like I said, the idea of doing a country version of the same thing, but. I probably, in the last year, have written about 20 new songs. Being a musician yourself, you know how daunting of anything that is. So over the last probably 2 or 3 months, I've kind of whittled down the songs that are the most important for me to get out and the ones that I like the best. So it's probably not going to be a full-length album because I'd like it to be done, and I'll probably wait until the project's 5-year anniversary to put out a second album, because I've been a project since 2022, and I only started gigging live in 2024 as the project. So I've gotten a bunch of stuff done, and I've actually had people tell me that if I release too much music too, people lose track of it and it becomes whatever. So I think I'm going to put out just a sort of EP. The songs I think are probably they're me at my angriest and snarkiest. A lot of my previous material, I also felt that way. So it's every new release, I just try to get to a new depth of my misery.
Okay, so you're going to tap into about 20 of these songs and then filter them out slowly.
Yeah.
Just to sum things up.
Well, and I think there are some songs too. That I think I could probably put together an entire coherent album out of an album's worth of them. And then there's some songs that I kind of just write outside of the box for me. So I'll have odd and end songs that don't necessarily seem like they'd go with the 10-song batch. And those are probably going to be the ones that I tackle first.
Well, I think you're tapping into what most bands have been doing now for several years. Once you're competing with all these other artists on Spotify and all these other digital things that are out there, because there's so much, it gets saturated like you're talking about. So why not just a song here and there every once in a while? That way you can kind of just keep the focus. Another thing that does is because you're not into social media, it allows the algorithm to stay fresh. It's going to pick up on the latest thing you do.
Mm-hmm.
So if you put them out just one or so at a time, then you're going to stay fresh in Google searches and all these tech terms that apparently work or not work. We don't know.
Well, I think that also kind of applies to playing live locally too. So I'll say in 2025, I had kind of put myself on a mandate to play as much as possible. And that gets back to what I was talking about with playing as multiple different acts. So pretty much anytime I was offered a show, I just said yes no matter what, and then got there. I'm going to release new music this year. I'm hoping before the spring. And my other plan for this year is to space out my shows. Last year I was playing 2 or 3 shows a month. I played from Arkansas to Springfield and Alton to Olney, Illinois. I've just kind of been all over the place. And I think after I release some new music this year, I'm going to pull back and maybe only do one show a month or so for the rest of this year.
Well, that's interesting because my belief is that the best way to get your music out is to play live as much as possible. But what you're doing is going to all these different places far away from each other. So it's only like 1 gig a month there or 1 gig every 3 months there, wherever there is. And then you come back to Alton, you do your one show for, But we learned when we were playing, if you play every weekend, people are going to skip coming to see you to go do other things so it was better to just like build up to one big show.
Yeah.
Right in this area. So I think you were doing it right.
Yeah. Well, and another thing too is I really like going and playing places that I've never been before. I do that as much as possible. But the first time playing anywhere, I never expect a huge turnout because it's the first time I've ever been there or anything. But over the past year, like I had gone down to southern Missouri, like West Plains, Missouri, and I played there once earlier in the year, and then 4 or 5 months went by, and when I went back and hit that town again, there were people who knew who I was and who showed up for my last show. And so I try to get around to places once, because once I do it once, it means I can go back, provided everything goes well and they don't throw me out.
Well, that might get you back too, depending on where you're playing.
That's true. Well, I'll always book with the guy down the street if that happens.
Yeah, that's true. You could also throw a house party for yourself.
I like to talk a lot of smack when I have a microphone on stage too.
Okay. How about you're not into the social media, but there's always sitting at home and doing a show.
A
live show.
There have been some times where I've been particularly drunk and hyper-focused at like 4 a.m.
Right.
And I will stream you. But the funny thing is, this is what I'm talking about being bad at social media, though. I will play. I'll occasionally do a live stream where I'll play and I'll kind of talk to whoever's hanging out. But once it streams, I delete it so no one else can see it.
Yeah, that's how I do it too.
They say, I mean, if I was concerned with getting views or anything, you leave it up or whatever. But no one needs to see me in that shape except the people catching it in the moment.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if you're familiar with Tom Green.
Yes.
Why wouldn't you be?
Yeah. I'm the exact age demographic to know what you're talking about.
So that guy, to me, invented YouTube. He invented all this stuff that we're seeing
like
today.
The Jackass stuff before that, the pranking his parents,
and it was all done through what do you call it, TV back then? Those days,
was it
public access TV? Right. So
Canadian
that was before
access.
The internet was even a big deal, and then he starts doing these shows on the internet. I was watching him one night, is why I bring this up, and this is like recently, probably before he moved to Canada. Now he's living in Canada, but he was living in LA at the time. And he was just in the middle of the night doing stuff. And I was watching one night. He literally passes out and is like just sleeping with like a repeating thing going on the whole time for like hours.
I mean,
It's like I went back and he's still doing the same thing. But to me, it was hilarious.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget that.
well, it's almost like Andy Kaufman, where is it so dumb
Right.
that it's insane, or is it so insane that it's kind of funny?
Right. Well, I think I'm insane, so it's perfect for
Yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah.
Maybe I'm the only one watching. I don't know.
Hey, everyone needs I think that's a big fun part of things like Instagram, though. You almost get those slices of life from things that from people in places that make you realize that the world is absolutely crazy, that it's crazy out there. So
I had an Instagram account, and then like all these changes happen, and I couldn't log into it, and it still won't let me log in, no matter how much I've tried to like
gotta love that.
get a new password or whatever I'm trying to do. And I'm like, I don't want to start a whole new thing.
I am the worst about that. And actually, if you go on YouTube or anything, you'll probably see multiple Dracula Johnson accounts because I forgot the password to some of them. And I think actually the most embarrassing one is the one called Real Dracula Johnson.
You can't go back.
I can't get it. So now he's got the real one.
Well, I know the real one's going to be January 23rd, in case anyone's wondering, at the Conservatory.
Yes. Oh, man. I told Mike I was doing this tonight.
Yeah, celebrating Biff Knarly's 37 years around the sun. It'll be with Toy Husband, 86 Red. Of course, Dracula Johnson and Biff Knarly getting his thing back together. He's got to be pumped.
I am.
Oh,
Even
no.
if he's not, I don't care if he is or not.
That's
I
right.
am.
He's probably trying to make everything perfect and, doing the Biff Knarly thing, right?
Well, and 86 Red, too. We've played with all those guys a few times. Toy Husband just had their first single release, which is really cool because we've played with them for about the past year, and this is their debut recording stuff. And 86 Red, their song Punching Bag, that was about one of my favorite songs to come out of the local scene for a long, long time. I love that song.
That's a great one. And speaking of 86 Red, when I interviewed them the first time, they were called Hive Mind.
See?
Do you remember that?
No, I did. 86 Red's better.
Yeah. Well, and we actually talked in the interview, I believe. It's like, that's kind of one of those things, like if you Google it, it could be like a million things.
Yeah.
So I don't think we inspired him to change their name, but 86 Red seemed like something that, okay.
You should take credit for inspiring them to change their name.
I'm not going to take credit. I'm going to take credit for Walloper.
Yeah, please do. Well, another thing, because Dracula Johnson was a name that I landed on, but it wasn't the only option. And I had a lot of band names, kind of like some of my old band names, that the names are things I couldn't repeat on the radio, just because I'd love to put those on a flyer, So the world is better off that I went with Dracula Johnson, I think. But if there's some very obscene bands coming out of this scene, let me know. I've got names. I've got lists of names I can give.
And there's some out there. There's some out there. And honestly, I have to admit, when I see a name that just jumps out at me, like Waffle House Fight Club,
I got to see that.
Makes a difference.
Yep.
So I know where you're going, and we're not going to hit the dump button, so don't mention none of those, please.
Yeah.
Please. If you want to know some of the names that he's thinking of right now, go to a show. He will tell you in person.
So let me straddle that line here a little bit to promote another show that I have.
Okay.
It's actually our next show before the 23rd. We're playing in Carbondale, Illinois at Boobies.
Okay.
And Boobies has now started serving hot dogs. So it is their Wiener Hard Launch with Dracula Johnson. I've been talking to the guys in the kitchen about possibly doing a Dracula Johnson hot dog for their menu for that night. So January 17th is the Boobies Wiener Hard Launch in Carbondale, Illinois.
So if we were going to design a Dracula Johnson hot dog, My first guess is lots of ketchup, but
A lot of people have said that to me.
so what do you think?
So I want it to be something that I personally would like because I'm selfish that way.
Okay.
And so I was thinking something like a roasted garlic aioli with stone ground mustard and raw onion on it. Something that you would just smell the rest of the night. Some garlic, onion, mustard mess.
Okay, well, I understood all that stuff, but that aioli part, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Roasted garlic mayonnaise.
Okay, that's what aioli is?
Aioli it's sort of a fancy word for mayonnaise.
I'm going to name my new band aioli.
Aioli. Roasted
Aioli Splash.
Yeah. I like that.
Or
You know, I can see the T-shirts now.
Yeah, I bet you're designing them already.
I do have new merch this year, though. Our
first
shows,
album is going to be Bukkake, by the way.
I
Did
love
you know that?
I love that.
You knew that before I said it.
Mayonnaise bukkake. There was a couple Dracula Johnson album covers and album titles that involved that and hot dogs, but we haven't gotten around to that yet.
That's close enough. We don't need to get any closer. All right, don't forget, January 23rd, Conservatory. 37 years, gnarly years, Around the Sun with Dracula Johnson, Toy Husband, 86 Red, and the return of Biff Knarly. Did I leave anyone out? No, I don't think I
think
did.
that's it.
All right. And before we go any further, we only got a few minutes left. I want to throw some Saturdays at you. The Three Stooges are back together. They're playing at Cat Daddy's from 7 to 10. Not the original ones. I think they've all passed.
Unacceptable.
Unacceptable.
Bring them back.
That's right. Cole Tarrant's going to be a bossa nova from 7 to 10, and we got Naked Soul and Drawl at Fast Eddie's. And then let's see what else. Case 44 out at Baker's and Hale from 7 to 11. Champagne Fix, 8 o'clock at the Pump House. And let's see, the Fry Project at the Bloody Bucket Saloon from 7 to 10. That'd be a great place for Dracula Johnson, Bloody Bucket Saloon.
Where's that at?
It's in Grafton. They're actually, I think they're tied to Cat Daddy's. I think they're the same owners or something like that. Alice in Reverse at Backstage, right there across from the Wild E at 9 o'clock on Saturday. And if you want to find out the rest, the list is long, and it's all at cottonmouth.org. I was talking to Gordon a little bit about what we try to do there. And if you're a band, you're looking for places to play, you're looking for other bands to play with, we got a giant list of that stuff. And it just saves you lots of time because all of us know you don't want to spend time on researching things. You want to spend time playing music and writing new stuff. So that's what we're trying to do for folks right there at cottonmouth.org. And we couldn't do it without the help of our sponsors, Halpin Music Company and Mr. Matt Van Voorhis of Macias Insurance. And I want to thank you, Mr. Gordon Love. Let me call you Boat.
Yeah. That's what the people who know me best call me. So
that's what I'd like to call you.
That's what my grandma called me.
Really?
I do think it's open mic at Conservatory. I think I'm going to
You're
straight from here, and I think I'm going to go over there.
I thought I mentioned that when I started, but maybe I didn't.
Well, we mentioned it when we ended.
That's right, because that's when it's starting right now. So you're going to go down there and play a few tunes tonight? Or
I think so. I think so. Yep. And go do it the way I hate it.
With Scotty the Hottie?
Yeah. Too hottie.
That's right. All right. So that'll be good. So if you want to get a sneak preview, you might see something that
you've never seen before.
That's for sure. Guarantee it. Remember that one time you stuck your hand down in the acoustic and couldn't get it back out?
I mean, that happens to me on a weekly basis. So I drop picks down there, sandwich halves. So
spend hours trying to get it out.
Just shaking.
Yeah. Man, that is. I just leave them in there.
That would drive me crazy. Right now, I have some. It's got to be the tiniest little thing. I have a chambered guitar that's moving around in there. I'm about to gut that thing, getting that screw out. It's probably a milk dud.
You don't like the rattle.
It drives me crazy.
You can't incorporate it.
I'm too. I don't even like to diagnose it. I'm just dumb brained. It just bothers me, and I don't like it.
All All right. Well, sounds good. Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you so much.
Looking forward to January 23rd at the Conservatory with Toy Husband. See, I keep putting toy on the end of it.
Say toy husband 10 times fast.
I want to say Conservatory Husband.
They should make that on a poster.
I think so. 86 Red, Biff Knarly, Dracula Johnson.
Hey.
You guys are playing early.
I hope so.
Yeah.
The later we play, the worse off I am.
Right.
Anyone who's seen us can tell you that.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you, and thanks for tuning in, all the listeners out there, and thanks again to Halpin Music Company and Mr. Matt Van Boris of Macias Insurance for. I'm going to close this. Let's see what happens.
Idea. Can put it.
Whoa, that was cool. Did you see how I did that? Anyways, I'm trying to take us right up to the. This is called back timing.
Yeah.
Have you ever back timed anything?
Try not to.
Okay, well you're doing it right now. You're taking you're taking us to exactly 7.
Wait, who do we need to call for that 10 minutes?
Actually, we're down to 15 seconds.
Oh shoot!
So that's all we got to do is cover it.
Call Halpin.
Call Halpin.
They'll get us.
Hey, I like you. You know what to plug, when to plug it. So, even though you can't handle social media. Hey, I appreciate it again.
No,
Gordon.
thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Yeah, it's good to see you again. It's been a long time.
Yeah.